known for chamber music, of course, and historically the chamber music that we are associated with is particularly music for strings, string quartets, piano trios, sometimes duos, quintets, and that's the tradition that we're associated with and been going back for 120, 130 years.
The London Chamber Music Society was created in 1999 as an independent charity to run the concerts at Conway Hall. Prior to that, they'd been run by the South Place Concerts Committee since 1929, when the hall opened. Originally, the concerts were at South Place, which is at Finsbury Pavement near Liverpool Street, and the first concert there had taken place in 1887, so we can trace our history back for over 120 years.
The idea was to bring fine chamber music and classical music to poor Londoners, really. It was felt the common man could be civilised, perhaps, by some connection with good Western art music. And that was the mission, and partly that's why the concerts were at 6:30 on a Sunday as well as an alternative for church. So if proletariat weren't going to church, at least give them some culture. And that's really why concerts were free, of course, and there was a collection plate at the end of the concerts. And I think that went on right until the 20th century, right until around about the Second World War.
The concerts originally started at South Place, which was the home of the newly formed Ethical Society, a non-religious body which was under the sort of guidance of Moncure Conway, whose daughter was a very good pianist and very interested in music. And there was a tremendous core of people who loved chamber music, really adored it. And it was those people that in fact decided to do this thing. Alfred Clements, the first organiser, was a real, genuine Victorian of the old school. He could have walked straight out of a Dickens novel. And he, in fact, was absolutely unapproachable. But he certainly did it from its inception, from 1887 till the day he died in 1939.
He looked exactly the same as from right the time I first saw him. You know, he was this rather grey-haired, bent little old man with a beard. And as far as I can remember, right going back ever so early, he used to come onto the platform at the interval of every concert and ask for money. You know, the concerts were really living hand to mouth all the time, all the years that they were going.
Looking back at the history of the concerts, some of the early concerts were anniversary concerts of really sort of major musical events. In April 1897, there was an all Brahms concert because Johannes Brahms had died the week before. Some of the early performances of Dvorak quartets when they were all still new, possibly the British premiere, or certainly London premiere of Verklärte Nacht by Schoenberg in 1910, which was quite something. A concert of all women composers' music, I think in 1914 or 1915, which is clearly connected with the suffragette movement. So an amazing historical legacy.
In 1929, when they moved into Conway Hall, things got very, very good, and perhaps those are the sort of halcyon days, that is to say from about 1929 till 39. Again, the acoustic proved to be superb, and it was eminently suitable for the sort of music which was being produced. The music essentially was Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, Schubert, the Romantics, but there was always this interest in producing really good modern music. So, in fact, the Bartop Quartet, they were regularly played, as was a lot of music which had its first performance at Conway Hall.
Just after Bartok's death in 1945, the Society put on a whole series of all 6 Bartok quartets, which at that time was really quite an experimental thing to do. So that's something that from the artistic direction point of view, one has felt a useful thread to continue. So in any season, you will see that we always give a platform to some new music, and that there's a good mix of the new and old.
The fact that the concerts have been running as long as they have, and that when we play here, we realise that we're part of a long tradition, gives the whole atmosphere a very special flavour. Personally, I've attended concerts here since I'm about 10, 11 years old, coming to hear my father, who's often played as pianist here. I played with him later here. I came to hear other quartets. I remember some marvellous concerts, chamber music concerts, pieces I've heard for the first time here at Conway Hall. So I think that everybody who's been to the South Place concerts will have memories of hearing great masterpieces for the first time in quite relaxed and informal surroundings.
We have 450 members, and many have been coming for a very, very long time. Probably our longest attender is Mary Lindsay. She's been coming to the concerts now for 82 years, which is absolutely amazing. But many will say they've been coming for 30, 40, even 50 years.
My parents were keen music lovers and played a bit at home, and I was brought up to play the piano, had piano lessons, and around in 1925 they decided to take me to these concerts. I suppose I was just nearly or just past my 10th birthday, I think. I expect it was a string quartet, and it was at the old chapel near Broad Street Station. What I do remember of it was that the stage was very small and that the players really came very near the edge of the stage, which rather worried me.
For many, many, many years, for decades in fact, the musicians played for peanuts. Great names, people like Solomon played, people like John Barbirolli, who people don't perhaps realise was a cellist, Isai, the great fiddle player, and then of course string quartets. The Griller string quartet was in its day the sort of Amadeus, which came later. They played many, many times.
Of course the Griller stood out because Alfred Clements had such faith in them, and they played so often. They were willing to come for next to nothing, and he was willing to let them come. And of course their standard was very, very high. But there were other great quartets, the Stratton Quartet, the Broser Quartet, so on, and the Kutcher Quartet. But I think on the whole the Griller Quartet stood out. And of course Sidney Griller himself, when he became a professor of violin at the Royal Academy of Music and chamber music coach, he himself produced a lot of young quartets to follow, and was really an excellent authority on quartet playing.
The performers that play for us have often created an association that's lasted for many decades. So the Amadeus Quartet started playing for the series in the 1940s and just kept on coming year after year until eventually they retired. It was similar for the Lindsay Quartet for some time. The Allegri Quartet have been coming for, I think, their whole existence, which is now over 50 years. And even though members of the quartet have come and gone, as an entity, the ensemble have been a regular fixture for over 50 seasons, which is absolutely astonishing. And they will be performing in our very last concert at the Conway Hall to continue that legacy. And it was rather nice to have the sense that the Allegri Quartet will be seen out the Conway Hall, and then the Chilingirian Quartet, Levon Chilingirian's quartet, will be beginning the new series here at King's Place. And the Chilingirian Quartet itself have been performing for us since their inception in the early 1970s.
Lots of fantastic wood.
Yeah, amazing.
Look at that.
It is beautiful. It's truly beautiful.
I really like the color of the wood as well. It's very, very warm.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing is it looks like a proper European concert hall.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was just thinking in relation to the solo violin, how it gives us more, in a sense, more programming opportunities, because I think actually solo violin works beautifully here.
I think that you will get incredible clarity, but you will get that sort of little bit of help, which we all want that. The players want that.
But not too much, is it? It's a nice balance, isn't it?
We'll have been at Conway Hall for 79 years when we move, and that's a very long time, and there are even people who remember the first concert there. But I think our decision to come here is so that we secure a beautiful venue for, a similar period of time in the future, for just generations ahead, well beyond our lifetimes.
I'll be coming here with a quartet soon, so that I really look forward to. I think it's very sad to be leaving the Conway Hall, but there's no doubt that this hall is just amazingly good. I think that it's just going to be such a great experience for our audience, and they will soon remember Conway Hall as a fond memory, but this is the future.